The clock strikes midnight, not with a roar, but with the soft mechanical click of a digit rolling over. In the kitchen, a single pilot light glows, a blue eye watching the transition. We mark this moment because we are told it matters, yet the air in the room remains unchanged. There is a strange pressure in the silence, the expectation that at this precise second, the soul should feel heavier, or perhaps more translucent. But there is only the hum of the refrigerator and the cold floorboards. We stand at the threshold of a new year, looking back at a door that has already drifted shut, leaving us in the hallway of the present, waiting for a feeling that rarely arrives. The ritual begins with a gathering of wax and wick. It is a primitive technology, this burning of years. We count them out, pressing the small colored pillars into the soft give of the frosting. Each one represents a rotation around a star, a massive cosmic journey distilled into a cheap string dipped in paraffin. There's a quiet gravity to the arrangement. We are building a small altar to our own endurance. The hands that set the candles are steadier than they were a decade ago, or perhaps more tired. Either way, the preparation is a meditation, a slow-motion inventory of the time we have managed to claim from the void, one flickering unit at a time. A match strikes, a sharp hiss breaking the room's composure. The sulfur smell lingers, a brief, acrid reminder of ignition. One by one, the flames take hold. They are fragile, dancing in the slipstream of a person's breath. This is the illumination of the self. We crowd around the glow, our faces rendered in amber and shadow, becoming older versions of the children we remember. The light doesn't reveal a finished product. It only shows the texture of the process. In the reflection of the window, the birthday celebrant looks less like a protagonist and more like a witness, watching a fire that consumes the very thing it honors. There is a specific quality to the morning light on a birthday. It feels borrowed. You wake up and wait for the internal shift, the psychic click of a gear locking into place. Instead, you find the same dust motes drifting in the same shafts of sun. The mirror offers no sudden revelations, only the familiar topography of a face that has survived another 365 days of gravity. You touch the skin beneath your eyes and wonder where the previous version of you went. They didn't die. They simply evaporated, leaving behind a slightly more worn container and a collection of memories that feel increasingly like scenes from a movie you saw a long time ago. Phone notifications begin to chime, digital echoes of a social contract. Happy birthday, they say, popping up in little white bubbles. Each one is a tether to the world, a confirmation that you still exist in the ledgers of others. You reply with gratitude, but the words feel like stones skipped across a dark lake. The disconnect between the public celebration and the private stillness grows wider with every passing year. You are being congratulated for the simple act of not ceasing to be. It is a celebratory participation trophy for the marathon of entropy, and you accept it with a polite, practiced smile that doesn't quite reach the quiet space behind your ribs. In the afternoon, the house settles. The mail arrives, a few cards with cursive promises of joy. You run your thumb over the embossed paper, feeling the physical weight of someone else's intent. These artifacts are anchors in a drifting life. We keep them in drawers, long after the sentiment has cooled, because they are evidence. They prove that on this specific date, in this specific year, we were recognized. But even as you hold the card, you feel the slip of the present. The paper will yellow, the ink will fade, and the person who signed it is also changing, moving away from the version of themselves that wrote those words. Everything is in motion, even the things we try to pin down. We observe the cake as if it were a sacred object, but it is merely flour and sugar designed to distract us from the math. The sweetness is a buffer against the realization of the tally. As we sit at the table, the conversation meanders through the mundane. The weather, the news, the small dramas of the week. No one mentions the invisible guest. The realization that the number of these gatherings is finite. We eat the cake in small, polite bites, savoring the richness, while the clock on the wall continues its steady, indifferent pulse. The ritual is a beautiful mask worn to hide the fact that we are all walking toward a horizon we cannot see. Memory is a deceptive archivist on these days. It pulls files at random. A birthday from 20 years ago, the smell of rain on the pavement, a specific gift that has since been lost or broken. These flashes are not linear. They are a collage of selves. You see the child with the grass-stained knees and the teenager with the defiant eyes, and you realize you are wearing their ghosts. They are folded into your DNA, layers of a tree trunk hidden beneath the bark. You feel a sudden, sharp empathy for those past versions of you. They had no idea what was coming. They were just waiting for their own candles to be lit, unaware that they were merely chapters in a book you are still writing. Identity is a coastline, constantly being reshaped by the tide. On your birthday, you stand on the shore and try to measure how much has been washed away and how much has been deposited. The person you were last year feels like a distant cousin, someone you knew well but haven't spoken to in months. You carry their habits and their scars, but your perspective has shifted by a few degrees. It's a subtle displacement. You are the same, yet entirely different. This is the quiet violence of time. It doesn't break you, it just replaces you. Cell by cell, thought by thought, until the original architecture is a myth you tell yourself to maintain a sense of continuity. There is a particular loneliness in the center of a birthday party. It's not a sad loneliness, but a structural one. You are the fixed point around which the evening revolves, yet you feel like an observer at your own funeral rehearsal. People speak to you, and you hear your voice responding, but your mind is wandering through the architecture of the room, noticing the way the shadows stretch across the ceiling. You realize that you are the only one who truly knows the weight of your years. To everyone else, you are a milestone. To yourself, you are a long, winding road with no clear destination, just more road. We look at old photographs and feel a sense of vertigo. The person in the glossy print is smiling a smile we no longer possess. Their eyes are bright, with a certainty we have traded for nuance. You want to reach through the paper and warn them, or perhaps thank them. They did the hard work of surviving so that you could sit here today in this quiet room feeling this specific brand of melancholy. The photograph is a map of a territory that no longer exists. The landmarks have changed. The forests have grown or been cleared. You are the occupant of a landscape that is being redrawn every time the sun sets and rises. The drift of memory is like smoke in a drafty house. You try to catch the scent of a specific moment, the way the air felt when you were 10, the sound of your mother's voice calling you from the porch, but it thins out as soon as you focus on it. Birthdays force this confrontation with the ephemeral. We try to solidify the day with rituals and photographs, but the essence of the experience leaks through the cracks. We are left with the leftovers, the crumpled wrapping paper, the dirty plates, and the lingering sense that something important happened, even if we can't quite name what it was. In the silence of the late afternoon, the house feels heavy with the accumulation of years. Every object has a history, a reason for being there, and on this day, they all seem to speak at once. The chair you bought in your 20s, the books you read in your 30s, they are the sediment of a life. You sit among them like an archaeologist, wondering what the future version of you will make of these remains. Will they see the intention behind the clutter, or will it all just be more weight to carry? The continuity of self is a fragile thread, held together by the stubborn refusal to let go of these physical markers. We often talk about getting older as if it were a destination, a place we are traveling toward, but it's more like a weather system moving through us. Some days are clear and sharp, others are foggy and indistinct. On a birthday, the atmospheric pressure changes. You feel the gravity of your own history pressing down, a gentle but insistent reminder that the clock is not circular, but linear. The circle is an illusion created by the seasons and the calendar. In reality, we are moving further and further from the start into a territory that has no map, guided only by the fading signals of who we used to be. The perspective broadens as the sun begins to dip. You think of all the others who share this day, thousands of strangers, all blowing out candles, all making wishes that will likely go unanswered. We are a global choir of the aging, a synchronized movement of people marking their place in the queue. There is a strange comfort in this collective ritual. We are not alone in our drift. We are part of a massive, slow-motion migration through time. Every birthday is a private ceremony, held within a public tide, a small, individual flame flickering in a vast forest of lights, all burning down at the exact same rate. Across the city, in high-rises and suburban kitchens, the same scene plays out in infinite variations. A cake, a song, a momentary hush. It is the most common of miracles, the persistence of life. We celebrate it because the alternative is too vast to contemplate. We cling to the number, the digit that changes, because it gives us a sense of progress in a world that often feels chaotic. But the number is just a placeholder. The real story is in the quiet moments between the birthdays. The Tuesdays in November, the restless nights in July, the long stretches where we forget we are aging and simply exist. As the evening settles into a deep, bruised purple, the festivities wind down. The guests have departed, leaving behind the ghost echoes of their laughter. The house feels larger now, the shadows longer. You move through the rooms, gathering the remnants of the celebration. It is in these moments of aftermath that the birthday truly resides. The performance is over, and you are left with yourself. You look out the window at the streetlights and the passing cars, and you realize that the world hasn't noticed your change in status. The universe remains indifferent to your tally, which is both a terrifying and a deeply liberating thought. The final ritual is the extinguishing of the lights, not the candles, but the lamps in the hallway, the glow of the television, the small indicators of a day lived. You move towards sleep, that small rehearsal for the end, with a new weight in your bones. You are officially the age you were told you would be, but the interior landscape remains a jumble of all your previous ages. You are 6 and 16 and 60 all at once, a nested doll of experiences. The tension of the day begins to dissolve into the mundane necessity of rest. Tomorrow, the birthday will be a memory, another layer of sediment in the basin of your life. The ritual remains unresolved because life is unresolved. There's no grand finale, no sudden burst of clarity that comes with a new number. We are left with the same questions we had yesterday, only framed by a slightly different light. The birthday is a semicolon, a brief pause in a sentence that continues into the dark. We mark the time not because we understand it, but because we are subject to it. We burn the wax and sing the song because it is a way of whistling in the dark, a way of saying, I am still here, even as the I we are referring to continues to change. The last candle is blown out, and for a second, the room is thick with the scent of charred wick and sweet cream. The smoke curls into the air, a gray ribbon tracing the path of a breath. It lingers, then thins, then vanishes into the rafters. The silence returns, heavier than before, but perhaps a little more familiar. You stand in the dark, a year older, a second older, a heartbeat older. There is nothing left to do but wait for the next rotation, for the next time we feel the need to light a fire against the encroaching shadow, and pretend, if only for a moment, that we have caught time by the tail.